The NBA offseason has been crazy so far. Mainly when it comes to trades, there's already been a ton of trades and free agency hasn't even started. So let's go ahead and talk about all of these in this video outside of the Kevin Durant trade. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, we do have an individual video and we talked about it in last week's podcast. So go ahead and check that out. But the very first trade happened the very second we ended the recording last week of our podcast. So we didn't get to talk about it. Jrue Holiday was traded to the Portland Trail Blazers for Anthony Simons. And it was pretty shocking because I don't think it was super clear which direction Portland was trying to go when it came to Scoot Henderson versus Anthony Simons. Like, I've always been a Scoot believer, so I like the idea. I never heard any rumors or anything like that. And Boston just seemed like the type that not really need Anthony Simons, especially when they already had Jrue Holiday. But I guess this saved them a ton of money. And we'll talk about their next trade. But these two Celtics trades that they made so far, I think saved them literally in the future years, like was it over $100 million or $200 million because of the luxury tax implementation? I'm not gonna say it. Implications, yes. But yeah, overall, what do you think of the trade?
I like it for both sides, honestly. I feel like the Celtics got a younger guy who has potential to be an offensive weapon for them, and the Trailblazers got a guy who can help them compete now and play next to Scoot without detracting from his game. I don't know. I mean, there's not a ton to say because we know what position the Celtics are in. They are in a position where they're not looking to compete for a title next year, which is why you trade away a guy like Jrue Holiday, who is a guy that you have on your team if you believe you're competing for a title. They got Anthony Simons, who's a guy who will hopefully flourish with the opportunity provided to him by having no Jason Tatum around. And we know who he is. He can be a great sixth man for the Celtics. I think that's the role they look to put him in the future. And as for Jrue, we know what he can do. We know what he provides. He's a defensive, all-time player in a lot of ways.
Do you think Jrue Holiday starts? Not Jrue Holiday. Do you think Anthony Simons starts over Peyton Pritchard next season? Because I didn't even think about that until now. And like honestly,
yes.
You think Simons starts over him?
Yes.
Honestly, I think politically, and it sounds stupid, but like politically, you kind of have to because like Pritchard's already accustomed to that sixth man role, but I do think Pritchard has a bit more potential than Simons. I mean, the things that Pritchard has shown just off the bench,
maybe
for the Celtics have been amazing. I've always been a guy who says that he can average 20 points per game or over on a different team.
Maybe you start Peyton Pritchard.
Maybe they'll switch it like halfway through the year.
Yeah.
I think they might start it with Pritchard off the bench, and then you never know if Anthony Simons isn't playing up to par.
Could be. I think either way, Anthony's going to be playing 30 minutes a game, so it's not something you have to be particularly concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it for both teams though. Celtics save money.
Yeah.
And then the Trailblazers are a team that they don't have to contend next season. Like they're not rushed or anything, but I do think they just want to go ahead and build that winning culture. And I think Jrue would just play nice next to Scoot Henderson. And, yeah, I mean, I just think. I think this trade is more of a testament, or the Celtics are more of a testament to both of these trades. So we can't just go ahead and talk about this next trade unless you wanted to. Did you have any more thoughts?
I don't have anything more to say about this one. I mean, as the more it's marinated, the more I'm like, yeah, it's a good trade.
Yeah, cool. Next trade is one that involves my fandom. Kristaps Porzingis was traded to the Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics got Georges Niang and I believe a second round pick, and then Brooklyn got a first round pick. You have to take Terrence Mann's contract, and I think they got something else, but I can't really remember. It wasn't really that important.
Yeah.
Overall, we could just talk about team by team. I'll just go ahead and talk about the Celtics and just this direction of them. I don't like that they got nothing for Porzingis, but maybe less is more. And I just kind of wish they did get a piece, though, that they could develop for next season, because you're going to have to need to play young guys, ideally, unless you want to. I just don't really know. Yeah, because are they going to tank next season? I don't know. They're not that bad of a team where they'd have to tank. You still have Jaylen Brown. You have Derek White. You have good pieces like Peyton Pritchard. And if they were to tank, then maybe, that's when you get a young prospect. But because they're not, I kind of see them as like a play-in team right now. Is that crazy?
The Celtics?
Yeah. Like I don't see them as a playoff team, but I don't see them being like a tanking team or anything. There's some really bad Eastern Conference teams. Like in the West.
That's the thing. Like they might even still be a playoff team.
You think? I mean, we're not like giving predictions in this video, but also
I mean, you look at the East, like Milwaukee is in dire straits, and that's even if they keep Giannis.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's going to be good.
I mean, yeah, you do have teams
New
like
York's
the
going to be good. You have a lot of teams. The Indiana is going to be a wild card in terms of what their regular season record is going to be, but they're not going to be competing for a championship. We know that. Or maybe we don't know that. If this run taught us anything, we know nothing about what Indiana's going to be doing in a given year, but we assume they're not going to be competing for a championship. I don't know, man. The East is weak. The East is really weak. So unless Toronto shows me something or someone like that, I could see the Celtics getting a guaranteed playoff spot by the end of the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least though, Porzingis was, I guess, on a, he's only under contract for one more year. So getting nothing for him isn't the biggest deal ever.
Yeah.
Even though you did give up assets for him. But he got you a championship. Well,
yeah,
he was a little bit of the reason.
He was part of it. You want a chip.
Yeah. He only played a couple games, but those games were in the finals.
Crazy
yeah.
in those games. So.
Cool.
Yep.
The Atlanta Hawks get Kristaps Porzingis, and we give up Georges Niang, who wasn't great. He definitely had his moments where I loved him, but he also had his moments where I hated him. Terrence Mann, who just had a terrible contract. That's like $12 million for the next 3 years. So that's like $36 million total. I'm so happy we got rid of that because that dude is a cardio machine. Like he does a whole lot of running and it doesn't equate to anything really.
Yeah.
And if you don't remember, dude, I love looking at the clip where in that play-in game versus the Heat in overtime where Terrence Mann we're already like down 6 and Trae Young's bringing the ball up and Terrence Mann just runs into someone for an illegal screen, like just for no reason, just runs. And
at least he's running.
that's one thing he'll do. So we traded those, and then the number 22 pick, which I mean wasn't the greatest pick in the world, and we actually ended up getting the pick next to it.
Yeah,
for Porzingis, and it's a expiring contract for next season, and I'm hoping honestly that I think it's gonna be a change of pace. I think honestly, offensively speaking, this is the best player that Trae Young has ever played next to. The only one who really comes close, I guess you could say Jalen Johnson right now, or like John Collins when he was shooting 40%. But no, Porzingis, we know what he's gonna give you.
Wait, you wouldn't say DeJounte Murray?
Nope. I would not. I do not like DeJounte Murray. Hopefully he plays more than like 30, 40 games. We do know that he's dealing with something, and that something might be HIV. It might not. We don't really know.
Porzingis?
Yeah. But those
I would hope that it's not.
But those rumors are very real, very true. The doctors don't know what he has. And
what do you mean they don't? But I mean, I feel like
that's what they say.
Okay, let's not like delve into like too much of a theoretical discussion. But if he had HIV, I feel like they would know he had HIV.
They would know, but would they say it? Maybe they would just say, I don't know.
They wouldn't let him play. Don't you remember Magic?
Dude, I understand Magic, but I think the Celtics front office is smart enough to like just keep that quiet. You know what I mean? Like,
hey man, if you're
paid to keep that quiet,
like, I hope Kristaps is okay. I hope he doesn't have any major health concerns. If the Celtics manage to get Georges Niang in a second round pick out of a player that has HIV, that's honestly a fleece of all fleeces.
Yeah, but also I think you can. Well, I mean, this might go to a different conversation. I feel like you can play basketball with HIV, and I think
the treatment.
I think things just weren't known enough in the 90s where they wanted to be extra safe about it.
I mean, treatments are more advanced now. There is ways to treat it, and you probably could play basketball. So it's not like,
it's not like you spread HIV with touching. I mean,
no, but it is in your blood, right?
Yeah. So I guess if you bleed? I guess it could.
I mean, that's where all the cleanup procedure for the NBA came from.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Was Magic Johnson having HIV, and then they were like, we really need to make sure these guys aren't bleeding on each other and doing stuff like that because we weren't watching that at all before. And it was also during the AIDS scare, and everyone was like terrified of it. So the NBA kind of did it for PR reasons and also health reasons, and there's a mixture of factors there. But
yeah. So let's just live in a world where we think he doesn't have HIV. Great fit. I really like it. Yeah, we finally get Onyeka has kind of been. He's been more of a shooter recently. He actually, I think, shot decent from 3 this year. But you get a legit 7'3" shooter. Like I think Trae, well, like pick and roll wise, I don't think Kristaps is a great screener compared to like a guy like Clint Capella,
Yeah.
But it's just something completely different. It's going to open up the game. I still think Porzingis, while he's not the best defender, he's still a good rim protector.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what Clint Capella was. So Clint Capella, but now offensively he's great. Just a huge upgrade. I think it means a lot. I think it means that we are going to try and contend this season, which I think is a good idea because of all the injuries the East has and just how generally weak it is.
Yeah.
And you get rid of the Terrence Mann contract. It's only 1 year. If it doesn't work out, you let him go. If it does work out, you probably pay him less. I mean, I don't think he'll get $30 million a year, on the next contract. I could be wrong. Also, there's inflation, so maybe, or the contract inflation. So maybe $30 million just isn't as much,
Yeah. No, and I mean, we'll just see how it works out, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like it's a good fit, especially for what they had to give up for him, because they gave up almost nothing.
Yeah, just one late first round pick.
For a player of his caliber. So I don't know. I feel like it's good. I feel like it's a 1-year experiment in a lot of ways, just to see how these guys around the Hawks roster develop and, you know, what he ends up looking like, because I'm pretty sure he has 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah, one more year.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think the Hawks are trying to capitalize on a weak Eastern Conference, as they should. So I think it'll make them better. Well, do I think it makes them contenders in the East? No, but I think it makes them better.
We can talk about it later. I disagree. I think we're up there for sure. But I don't know. I like the East is weak. I guess it depends on how many teams you can count as a contender.
The East is weak, but I feel like you're not a contender in the East if you're not a contender to beat one of the Western Conference teams, presumably Oklahoma City. If you can't reasonably beat Oklahoma City, are you even a contender?
I don't think that's true. I think you could be a contender. Once you make the finals, you have a good shot. That's what I'll say. Because the Pacers still took OKC to 7.
Sure,
so as long as you're a contender for the finals.
Pacers had a reasonable shot at beating OKC, like in terms of like you could see a world where they did it. If you can't see a world where you can beat OKC next year, you're not a contender.
But you couldn't see that world before the playoffs started of the Pacers.
No, and that's totally true. But I can only go off of what I know right now.
I mean, this is my opinion, and it might sound stupid, but because we saw the Pacers make the finals and almost win it, I think I'm not going to say any team can do it, but any team with that kind of formula, which, by the way, I actually think that the Hawks and Pacers are pretty similar teams. When you talk about Trey to Halliburton, Jalen Johnson to Siakam, now Porzingis to Miles Turner, they're like pretty much the same player.
Yeah.
Miles Turner and Porzingis, besides Porzingis might have a little bit more post, Miles Turner a bit more defense. I don't know. But I think they're like similar enough where like we could always have I guess having like this fantasy run that the Pacers did, does that make you a contender? I don't know, because it's just so unexpected, but I don't know. I like to be optimistic about my team now. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I like to be super negative about my team, but because they've been making such good moves under our new GM, I'm happy. Yeah. And then last part of it, which was the least, I mean, it was pretty boring part.
The Nets.
The Nets got the 22 pick. Took Drake Powell with it. Good job. But
got Terrence Mann.
Boo, but
you
also
gotta live with.
Yeah, you're good. You're the Nets.
You're fine.
You don't need to use
You're good.
They're already going to struggle to use cap with the bad Terrence Mann contract.
They'll be fine.
So cool. Third trade that happened. By the way, we're going in chronological order. I don't think I said that. Jordan Poole was traded from the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum. I think there was a little bit more added with that. Who went with Poole? I'm pretty sure it was like a decent player. I could be wrong. I don't know, but the main part was Jordan Poole. CJ McCollum. I kind of understand it because you took Trey Johnson and you took Will Riley in the draft. So clearly you're believing not only in your current guards in AJ Johnson and Bub Carrington, but now these new guards. So I guess there just wasn't enough shots and probably minutes.
And you want the experience of CJ, I guess.
I guess CJ McCollum is like a good dude. Maybe, it's just that like
maybe he'll like.
I think he's kind of just as likely to take as many shots away though.
Sure.
You think CJ's willing to take a step down for the young guys?
He should be at this point. I mean, Jesus.
Maybe that's what he wants to do. Maybe he just wants to not, because these really good players get DNP'd toward the end of the season. Maybe he wants one of those seasons where he doesn't have to play.
Just chills out.
Which I mean, as a guy who's aging, you kind of want to not risk an injury while getting paid as much money as you can.
No, I mean exactly.
So smart for them. And then for New Orleans, I think this makes them a pretty good team.
I think it does too. I mean, if they could stay healthy. Yeah. I mean, that's always the question with New Orleans. Can Zion stay healthy? Can he stay out of prison? Can DeJounte stay healthy? Can Poole play? We know Poole can play consistent on a contender when he's like, not the first offensive option. So can Poole find that rhythm again? There's like a lot of ifs. But if it all comes together, they're a very good team.
And by the way, it is kind of funny, though, that CJ McCollum was probably the most healthy player on the Pelicans, and they traded him.
Well, he doesn't fit the identity of the team.
of being injured?
Of being injured all the time, yeah.
But overall, Jordan Poole is obviously talented. DeJounte Murray being out those first couple months, most likely. Or maybe like first month. I don't know how long it'll be. Poole is going to have a good amount of responsibility that I think he'll live up to. And overall, you're getting younger, which this team is like actually a really young team. Like it's not like OKC young, but a whole lot of 23, 24-year-olds. And then a bunch of, Jordan Hawkins is younger than that. Their new rookies will be younger than that. I like the direction they're going, even if a lot of people didn't like that draft day trade, which, You know what? We can go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah.
I didn't have that on here, but let's just go ahead and talk about. Yeah, New Orleans did trade an unprotected swap best. I believe that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Of the 2026 Bucks or Pelicans pick to the Hawks to trade up 13 spots for Derek Queen, who personally, I mean, they need a 5, right? Because Zion's the 4. I do like it for the Pelicans because I like Derek Queen as a prospect. I like Jeremiah Fears, but I think they need more of a traditional center in that sense. I kind of wish that they could have done that for
I
Lonzo Ball.
already like Misi, so
Yeah.
it's like I don't know if that was a huge need there.
Yeah, because that pick, I mean, I think the Pelicans, just early prediction, I think the Bucks won't be good next season.
Yeah.
But as long as you have Giannis, you're like a play-in team, right? I think the Pelicans will be good, but there's a good chance that injuries happen.
Yeah, we've seen it so many times before, and if injuries happen, then that pick is gonna shoot up the boards.
Dude, because like apparently this upcoming draft, like, okay, people talked about, Cooper Flagg was a great prospect, and then Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, okay.
Yeah.
This upcoming big 3
Oh yeah.
of Dybonsta, of Boozer, and I think it's Darren Peterson. That's his name. I actually don't know Matt. I don't know much about that third guy. But Boozer and Dybonsta, you don't want to miss out. Oh, as a Hawks fan, I've always been a big Zion fan. He's been my favorite player in the league for a couple of years. Just the way he plays. Obviously, he barely plays. But I'm gonna have to be a Pelicans hater. That's crazy. Like I need one of those guys on the Hawks to give up that to get Derek Queen. I like the idea, but it's just too much risk.
The Hawks have their pick next year.
Yeah, the Hawks have either Pelicans or Bucks, whichever one ends up being better. Which, by the way, both can be in the lottery. Yeah. I don't want to bet against Giannis, but I want to bet against the rest of the team.
I wouldn't bet against Giannis. That team will be in the playoffs.
I don't know. The Bucks were
in the East.
In
the East, they were the 4 seed. That team will be in the playoffs.
And Dame played 60 games.
I'll guarantee it right now. That team will be in the playoffs.
You're guaranteeing it? Okay.
Yep. It's Giannis.
We'll see how good Giannis. I mean, I still think Giannis is the best player in the world, but that roster is
They
bad.
will be in the playoffs, and Giannis is winning his 3rd MVP next year.
That's a crazy take. That's I don't agree with that. But yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the next. And then obviously for the Hawks, I loved it. Traded back, got Austin Newell, who I'm not the highest on, but you know what? Next to Trae Young, he literally kind of is like a John Collins who. Okay, it's not John Collins, but John Collins who is not as good of a shooter, but is a way better defender. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Now this trade.
Mark Williams. Okay, go ahead. You describe it.
Yeah. So it was Mark Williams to the Suns, right? And the Suns got one of the Hornets picks. Who did the Suns even get?
So the
Hornets
got the
29th pick from the Suns,
and then a future first round pick. Where I'm gonna go ahead and describe. It's like really complicated, but just know this: there's like 4 teams, and I'm pretty sure the Hornets will get the worst pick.
There's 4 teams, and no matter what, they get the worst pick.
And there's some like Cleveland, and there's good teams in there.
Like
not the Hornets.
If one team is worse than them, they get a swap with their pick. If another team is worse than them, they get a swap with their pick. It's oh my god! If you are ever bored out of your mind and you want to just see the most inane shit you've ever seen in your life, go look at the Phoenix Suns' future first round draft picks. There's another pick in like 2028. There's like 7 teams involved in this thing. It's insane. I mean, like literally 30% of the league is involved in this one pick.
Yeah. So like honestly, you kind of think about it like this. If you had the 28th and 29th pick in the draft, you try and trade up, you'll most likely get like the 24th pick. Yeah. Or 23rd or something. And that's just not worth it for Mark Williams, in my opinion, dude. Like, no. Seriously? Like,
they did not want Mark Williams, though.
No, but like the problem is, and we'll get to it in a future trade, they have no center on the roster now where free agency is super important. If they don't get a center in free agency, which is nearly impossible because there's actually a lot of center options, but if they don't, like Grant Williams is the projected starting center by ESPN right now.
Brandon Miller will be the tallest player in the starting lineup.
Which he's like what 6'8". So
good luck.
Or tied with LaMelo actually. Or
Giannis is gonna love playing the Hornets.
Oh no, field day, betting the over every night of the week,
every night,
and twice on Sundays. But yeah, pretty much the Suns got Mark Williams. Huge win. You got pretty much 2 of the exact same center in the draft in Maldawatch and then Mark Williams via trade.
It's perfect. Yeah,
perfect. They're both good screen setters who are going to help Devin Booker get some separation. I think Devin Booker, will be more of a pick and roll guy versus I think he's kind of more of like a beat you with like two dribbles.
He's kind of a triple threat guy
Yeah.
right now, and I feel like he'll develop more into a pick and roll guy because he's going to play point guard next year, most likely.
Yeah, don't let Jalen Green be point guard. So it's going to be Devin Booker. And
Jalen Green point guard minutes would be it would be bad for the NBA. I'll just say that right now.
so super proud of the Suns because the Suns have made some bad moves over the years. I don't want to say the KD move was that bad, as in trading for him.
No, but the what it precipitated into
Turned into the Bradley Beal trade, which was
Yeah.
the worst thing in NBA
the
history.
worst thing that could have happened to them.
Worst thing in NBA history. Okay,
I don't know about all that, but
two more trades. Lonzo Ball was traded yesterday or this morning, I forget,
Yep.
to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Isaac Okoro, which is like I actually love it for Cleveland because Isaac Okoro just looked like he didn't fit very well, had some very bad shooting nights. He also had some very good shooting stretches that were like he just randomly shot 45% from three, but for the most part throughout the season wasn't a good shooter. Now you're getting Lonzo, who is like a league average 3-point shooter, especially off the catch,
and a really good defender,
and a really good defender,
and a good playmaker.
And honestly, like even though he's been known as a point guard for years, he can play the three. Like he has not only the size of being 6'6", 6'7". He's a great play. Edit real quick. He also is like a dude for a small forward, like one of the best passing small forwards in the league, if not like the best. At least when it comes to like just IQ. And I just can't wait. Like I think he'll play so well off of Cleveland. Maybe he'll play some backup point guard minutes too, but I think he will start at that three. Unless they start DeAndre Hunter, which they had him off the bench.
Yeah.
Either one of those two. Just a very good Cleveland making another good move with the very little amount of flexibility they have because, I mean, they are like they have to let go of some people, most likely maybe Ty Jerome in the offseason. But the fact that you got someone who can maybe replicate what Ty Jerome did, maybe not completely offensively, but just overall impact. Very good move. Bulls, I don't hate it.
I don't like it either because what is Chicago doing? What does this move even do for you as the Bulls? We get another wing that can't shoot.
Another one after drafting one with shooting struggles.
I know y'all had a lot of success during the 90s, but this is not the 90s anymore. You got to have a team that can shoot.
Dude, Michael Jordan saved this franchise's history. Without Michael Jordan, it might be one of the most poverty franchises.
Derrick Rose winning an MVP.
I understand, but that was like a 3-4 years. No, it was like a 3-year span of greatness.
Yeah.
Outside of that 3-year span,
And Michael Jordan,
absolute poverty. And I'm not saying that you could have got a first-round pick for Lonzo Ball, but I am disappointed that they didn't get a single first-round pick for any of LaVine, DeRozan, Lonzo, Caruso.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't think they got a single first-round pick.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, Chicago, just literally the biggest losers of handling assets I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Kings were stupid enough to take the trades, but
Yeah.
for half of them. But yeah, that
God,
trade.
don't stop letting the Kings and the Bulls make trades, dude. Jesus
Ban it.
Christ.
Okay, cool. Last one.
Yeah.
Collin Sexton was traded to the Hornets, which just are
For Yusuf Nurkic.
no, sorry. Collin Sexton and a second-round pick were traded for Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah.
So they gave up more picks. I don't know, dude. So the
So
Jazz,
they gave up the better player and a pick.
and a pick. And by the way, it's not like I was thinking, maybe Sexton has like 3 more years and Nurkic is on an expiring contract, so you want to save up some cap. No, they both, after next year, their contracts expire. And the only reason that we can think of is
It's just Ace Bailey.
they want more shots for Ace Bailey,
Yeah.
Keontae George,
Yeah.
Collier, maybe Walton Clayton. Maybe they really are.
Allegedly in the report, it says they've really liked Yusuf Nurkic for a long time. So maybe they just really liked him.
First person to ever like Yusuf Nurkic. I swear every team he's been on, no fans have liked him. I actually think he's one of those guys that like are 7 foot and on the court they'll I just remember seeing clips of like Nurkic just being like the worst person ever.
Yeah.
So really weird. Yeah, the Hornets have no centers, and then the Jazz give up a good asset for not a good asset and a little mini asset. I just think it's a really weird trade. So
It's a weird trade.
The trades have been crazy for the better or worse, for the weird or not as weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully
It's interesting. We'll see the kind of impact they have come the regular season. I think some of these could be really impactful, and some of them are just dumb. So.
Yeah, but like also, dude, yeah, I am rooting for some of these trades to work out. Obviously, the Hawks made a bunch of trades.
Yeah, I wonder
right?
which one are you rooting for?
I'm rooting, dude. If Lonzo Ball, I'm not gonna like root for the Cavs or anything, right? I
But I would
never
want
want to do that
Lonzo to like have some success.
because he deserves it, dude.
Yeah.
Going through 2 years injured,
Yeah.
torn. Was it ACL or it was knee or it was something with the knee?
I think it was. I mean, I don't know. I think it was ACL.
I'm
But his
feeling,
knee was just barbecued.
yeah,
So
feeling for him. Obviously, Jordan Poole. I don't want the Pelicans to thrive, but Jordan Poole is a
I want-
guy
I
where
want Jordan Poole to
was in a
thrive.
great situation, got punched, and then got traded. So
how do you get punched? And I can't even get into it. I can't
punched
even
off
get
the
into it.
team, bro. The recoil went how many miles? And then
Stupid.
I don't know. Jrue Holiday's cool. I think Jrue Holiday was the very first guy I got a jersey of. No, Jimmy Butler, and then Jrue Holiday was the second guy ever I got a jersey of that wasn't a Hawk.
Really?
Like, just what?
I mean, hey, that's real.
Yeah.
Like,
When they won the chip
Yeah.
on the Bucks, I immediately got my Jrue Holiday because I'm like, he made the impact. Actually,
Hell
the
yeah.
first year they got Jrue Holiday, won the chip. First year the Celtics got Jrue Holiday, won the chip.
so you know what that means this year?
Portland,
Portland chip.
get ready, baby.
Yep.
Let's go. Beat OKC, please. I'll root for it. Definitely. But yeah, that's all the trades. Hopefully, a big blockbuster trade does not happen the second we end this recording. Well, Anthony Simons and Jrue Holiday is not blockbuster.
Giannis is getting traded as soon as we end this recording.
Please. There's nothing I'm rooting for more now than Giannis getting traded. Now that or not now, but because I'm a Hawks fan. Yeah.
Now that I'm a Hawks fan.
Now that I'm a Hawks fan, yeah, I'm a bandwagon. No, but yeah.
All right, cool.
What do you guys think about these trades? Let us know, comment, and then subscribe or like, or I don't know, do whatever you want. You have free will.
Yeah.
Peace out.